Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. Jason here at New Dimensions, Crystals, and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas, right next to KTX 106. Today's Star Report is for October the 15th through October the 21st, 2025. And we jump right into our nearest star because that is the star that affects us the most. And of course, it is super active. So if you were looking for moments of calm where the energy would settle down and everything would just sort of stay at the status quo for just a little bit, you're not going to get it. So we have 4 days predicted currently of solar storms, 3 days of CME impact. So there's been, I believe, three CMEs that coronal mass ejections when solar flares happen and they release stuff heading towards the planet. So those should be impacting this evening into the weekend. And then by the weekend, the fourth thing happening will be the coronal hole stream should be arriving Friday night, Saturday. And of course, all of those things cause certain things to happen. GPS and internet will have a disruption, whether that's slower stuff or difficulty loading. Also, that'll delay flights and slow flight stuff because they use GPS to fly planes around the planet. And so I'll look for that to happen. And then, of course, all of that extra solar flaring causes the intensity of storms. And if you were in, what was that, Arizona yesterday, you sort of see the intensity of that. And then Pagosa Springs over the weekend. So not only do they trigger extra energy when they flash, but they continue to trigger that when they impact. So pay attention to that. And then, of course, with the coronal hole stream happening over the weekend, we are currently locked in center disk with that coronal hole. And so that coronal hole is going to squeeze the planet, and that sort of helps the uh, electrics, tectonics sort of compress and move. So that's why there's an increased earthquake watch, not only now, but when the coronal hole stream hits. Because we got the magnetic lock now, and then when that thing bounces off of us over the weekend, that's what happens with that. And so look for this electrically driven weather to sort of increased psychic stuff to happen too, right? Sometimes that triggers autoimmune stuff. Sometimes that triggers heart palpitations, right? So that's how you're physically going to be feeling what's going on, as well as noticing in your physical world that the storms are intense. And since it's so many days in a row of solar storms, you might want to oh, what am I looking for? You might want to pay attention to aurora. They might be coming down to lower latitudes. Usually, if you were down here in South, in the Texas part, they won't be the green. They'll be sort of a light red that you'll notice in the sky if you are in dark enough areas to see it. Yeah, so that should be fun. We are currently in Libra, but this is the last little bit of Libra. And of course, the zodiac Libra alchemically relates to the physical form in our adrenals, kidneys, and bladder. And of course, with this extra solar stuff, that sends extra energy into those spaces. So look for that. But we are moving into Scorpio, I believe, next Thursday. So not tomorrow, but next Thursday. So those of us who are sensitive might sort of feel that you are getting a prequel to that. And so just an FYI, Scorpio is the highly erotic sign. So physically, that will be messing with or invigorating your procreative organs. You can decipher what that means. We are currently in 4 retrogrades because we just had that big shift of Pluto. Right. And so you want to think that's the beginning of newness that sort of happens. We had that retrograde since May. And then we want to think of the 1730s to the 1780s kind of energy is the epic we're in. So you want to think of all the things that happened in those times, like the birth of America and all that kind of stuff sort of goes along with that. And so we are currently still in Neptune retrograde, which is about really allowing the soul to lead, right? And so uh, the tendency is to find out all the things you could know and all the rabbit holes that you can go down with the mind. But this is really letting soul lead. And of course, if soul leads you to some of those stories and down some of those rabbit holes, that's great. But it's not about a mental capacity to figure out the narrative and piece it together for yourself. It's really about What is your soul telling you? Your narrative is your story, and that's what Neptune retrograde something to. Saturn is also still currently in retrograde, and so this is really divine timing. And so there's a lot of things where I coulda, woulda, shoulda. But when we're in Saturn retrograde, we're really sort of becoming hyper aware that there's divine timing. So we really can't miss what we're made for. We can only be stuck and never do it. So as long as you are continuing to act in your best interest and discover yourself as a soul, then all that kind of energy is moving in your favor, and divine timing will sort of like when the time has come, whenever that is, right? And that's the frustrating part, waiting for that. Whenever the time has come, then it'll sort of look like all the stuff all the time you spent fucking around was actually time spent being prepared for what it is that you're here to do. Chiron is currently in retrograde as well. And that's really just expanding your self worth. Not only are you aligned with divine timing, but you're worth the wait. And then when you sort of hit this divine timing, you're worth that expansion, that discovery of self. And then Uranus is in retrograde, and Uranus is really about in reinventing what it means to be human, right? And that's sort of like limitations, right? We're sort of coming into the discovery that we're mostly energy, not chemical equations, right? That's been the last 100 years. We sort of discovered that with the rise of quantum physics, the introduction of space travel, unless you've been down one of those rabbit holes, and we've been space traveling forever, and aliens have been here for so long, and yada yada yada. But also, right, so that's an interpersonal interaction with Uranus. Like, what does it mean what is the divinity that is welling up in you? But also the sort of, I don't want to say scary part, but sort of the co-worker with that is the sort of rise of AI and transhumanism, and sort of interacting with digital stuff, right? And so then there's the whole idea of what is natural, right? If we're on the planet, then we're nature. Whatever we create is natural, right? So ants are natural, and they make an ant mound to live in, so that makes an ant mound natural. So we don't live in ant mounds, although we have lived in caves. We live in houses, right? So houses are part of natural, right? And that's why you get urban planners, and when you look at things from the satellite, it almost looks like a computer grid, because it's about the flow of energy, or feng shui and all that fun stuff, right? So like I say, there's layers of things going on, and these retrogrades are really sort of helping us sort of align what that is. What is our divinity? What kind of larger picture are we working in? And then how does that interaction kind of meld? And so you'll sort of see people pushing for primacy of the tech over the human, right? And so if you're sovereign, you want to put the human over the tech, whatever. Maybe there's some kind of happy medium. Who knows? Moves us into today. Wednesday, the 15th of October. And Chiron is really with Jupiter, not necessarily opposition, but definitely opposing. And so, really, the energy is about healing and soul growth. And a lot of the energy of today is highlighting cycles that we began, or work that we began on ourselves around 2017, right? So this is sort of the cyclical nature of the stars and the alignments, that this kind of alignment today is really sort of helping us sort of see what did we begin working on in 2017, or how did the world begin shifting in 2017, and how's that sort of taking out. And the thing to sort of realize when this alignment is happening, that everything in the past is power, right? And the more you can focus on the positive parts of that, not the shame or hindrance of that, the better off you're going to be. Which moves us into tomorrow, Thursday, the 16th of October. The sun and Jupiter are really going to be, especially with the sun being so active, really going to be triggering you into an expansion. You can be more, you could do more. Stop limiting yourself. The reason you might be stuck is because you're thinking too small. So that's the kind of energy of Thursday. And so the energy of that alignment is really gonna, it might highlight the doubts, like, hey, I want to, maybe I can do this, but here's why I can't. It's really going to also be the energy of overcoming that why you can't bullshit. Yeah. Because it's bullshit. You can't. You can do it. Moves us into Friday, the 17th of October. Chiron's going to continue to mess with us or affect us because Chiron on the 17th for about 36 hours, so that moves it into Friday, Saturday kind of energy. Chiron is going to be making its closest approach to the Earth. And really, the kind of things that come up during that is ancestral powers return, right? So this is sometimes family karma kind of stuff comes up, but it's also family empowerment, right? What kind of powers did your people that have the same ancestral DNA as you, what kind of power did they wield on the planet? What kind of knowledge did they know? And so you might want to look for the return of that and the energies and the powers that those entail. And let's see. Uh, yeah, and so if it happens to be one of those family karmic things that comes up, is it a power that you currently need, or is it something that you can sort of lay to rest, right? So sometimes this is the ending of family karma, right? That you don't need to wield that power in that certain way, and so you can sort of choose differently. The sort of alignment of that closeness, though, Chiron is an emotional heavenly body. And so you might want to look for high emotions to be active on Friday. It leads us into Saturday, the 18th of October. And Chiron's going to be opposing the sun. And so uh, all those high emotions, all that who am I as a self kind of Chiron energy will be highlighted by the sun. And so sometimes self criticism might come up. And so the idea when we sort of see that self criticism is it accurate, and what can I learn from that, right? So it's kind of like we've been focusing on our strengths and we've been carrying these weaknesses, right? Are those really weaknesses, and do we need to have them, and what can we learn from that, right? How can we activate something else around those to make those less effective or less detrimental to us? And so the idea is that your light and your dark, which is your electricity and your magnetism, are needed to be whole, right? So just because you sort of see a challenge or a detriment or something that might seem like not an asset, that light and dark actually needs to be together, right? We need positive and negative. We need electricity and magnetism to grow. So don't necessarily toss out something that might be fuel for becoming what you really are. Yeah. Yeah. Leads us into Sunday, the 19th, I think it says. My eyes are getting wonky with all these bright white lights in my face. So yeah, Sunday is the micro new moon. Micro new moons means that the moon is the farthest away it's going to be all month, right? So this is the beginning of three micro new moons over the end of the year, right? So micro new moon is really sort of a time to reboot, align your words with your purpose. And sort of Mercury and Mars are going to be active during this one, and your higher mind is really sort of activating, right? So you're having these higher ideas, and so you want to really trust that you can see what others don't, right? And not that you're becoming more brilliant because of this alignment, but if you're working on yourself, you are going to see things that people who aren't working on themselves don't, right? And so you get into those judgment degrees of like, oh, I don't think this person's working on themselves, they're only working out, whatever, right? These are the sort of things to sort of highlight, hey, uh you might be having an epic moment of understanding that you can share with the group, and or that can be used to your advantage if you don't want to share with the group. So pay attention to that energy on Sunday. Sounds like a good day to go to church. um Monday the 20th of October, the Sun and Saturn, with this new moon energy, are really helping you to sort of see your hidden powers. Where have you been wasting your time, right? So a lot of times is when you discover like what power you actually have, you realize that that power is less effective in what you currently are doing. And so it's like, how could you use your power to actually be more effective, and probably wasting your time, right? So that's like people who are super creative that spend extra time trying to be studious and save the receipts, and give all the right paperwork to the tax man and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's like, I won't say it's a waste of time because that stuff needs to be done, but maybe that can be a delegation stuff. So this is really a highlight of where am I wasting my time or spending my energy, where I'm less effective here, but I've spent so much energy trying to be minorly effective, where I could have spent all that time here, and then this stuff could have taken care of itself, or all the growth that happened here, or all the money made here could have paid for that accountant. Just something to pay attention to on Monday. It's always a good day. Like, hey, here I am at work, wasting my time again doing stuff that's busy work. Leads us into Tuesday, the 21st. The four retrogrades that are currently happening, the sun, the moon, are really going to be active in showing you a spiritual path and discerning like how to get down that path. And also good times. It's like the energy never ends. When there is grand energies of change and planetary shifts and moving signs, right? So Pluto is moving direct into Aquarius the first time in our lifetimes, right? So whenever there's all this newness, there's always opportunities to do new things. And of course, there's always tweaks to that, right? So that we look at it not just in this way, but we look at it in all the ways. And so on Tuesday, we are entering the 2.5, 3 week pre-shadow of the last Mercury retrograde of the year. Sort of pay attention to that. And of course, all of that wonkiness of Tuesdays only intensified by all the stuff that's coming off the sun. And that's all the stuff that's currently coming off the sun. There are sunspots, and the sun has been active, so that might be stuff being added to that. The CMEs that are currently on the way are small and slow moving, but there could be some added to that. And if they are larger or faster, then they could catch up to the ones and sort of see the impact. So look for Tuesday to remain intense, and all of the change to be either picking up pace or staying about the same pace, right? So this is about as much as you can handle. Sort of get used to it. If you think you can't handle any more, be cautious. But I think that's everything. I should be here all week. I don't have any plans to get out of the office. So I should be here 11 to 5 today, Wednesday through Saturday. Again, that is 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And of course, if you want to book any kind of sessions, newdimensionscrystals.com is the way to do it. If you need a tarot reading, walk in is how I do that. I think that's everything. I'm going to be done because it's already past time to open the shop. I'm just rambling. And I also started late. I'm going to look for a little button that says stop this recording. And until next time, everybody, many blessings.